Hello, this is CDS 202 Career Development and Employment Studies. My name is Okerekpe Flora. I want to talk about the two successful people on my career path. Firstly, I want to talk about the founder of Apple by name Steve Jobs, who was born in February 24th, 1955 and died in 2011. Steve Jobs was adopted into the family of Paul and Clara Jobs, who named him Steve Jobs. He had frustrations going through formal education, but later enrolled into Homestead High School in 1971, and after then he didn't really attend much of the classes. When he went to Reed College in Portland, Oregon, he dropped out of college 6 months and then spent the rest 18 months of his life in creative classes such as typography, calligraphy, and lots more. And then in 1974, Steve Jobs became a video designer at Atari. He got all his ideas from his father, Paul Jobs, who was an electronic worker. He was doing this job with his father, and then his father had this hobby instilled in him with confidence, tenacity, and mechanical prowess. He had everything he wanted. So that was where his love for electronics began. And then in 1974, he met his co-founder Steve Wozniak, who attended Michigan University at that time. Although Steve Wozniak was one step ahead of Steve Jobs, Steve Jobs had the idea packaged together. These two clicked together because they both loved electronics, and the way they hook the digital chips together were so perfect. So by so doing, they became good friends because they had passion for the same thing, and their interest was based on it, everything about computer. The whole idea was just to revolutionize the computer industry by making technology get to everyone, and making the machine smaller, cheaper, intuitive, and accessible to every consumer. The products they produced were iPhone, iPads, and other technologies. And Steve Wozniak already had been into computer production. So by so doing, he had more experience than Steve Jobs. But they started this company in his father's garage, so it was okay with their start. And then Steve Jobs went on. When Apple became successful, they had some obstacles that Steve Jobs encountered during his career, such as his resignation as the CEO of Apple. And then next was disagreement between the co-founders when the board of directors sided with Steve Wozniak, and then they fired Steve Jobs from his own company. But despite that, Steve Jobs ventured into a new company called the Nest and Pieces. Although I didn't hear much about that, most persons have not heard much about the Nest and the Pieces, but he wasn't well down even when he was fired. And Steve Jobs too wasn't that healthy. He had been a survivor of a pancreatic cancer, which later took his life in 2011. The next person who has also been successful on my career path is Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter, who was once a fashionista. Jack Dorsey is an American businessman, and then he had an idea to create Twitter. Jack Dorsey attended Missouri University of Science and Technology, and then in the tradition of science and technology entrepreneur such as Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. Jack Dorsey too did not also wait to receive his degree. He dropped out of school before he could receive his degree instead. And then he moved to Oakland, California in 2000, where he started offering his dispatch software through the web. And then later he came up with the idea that he could use his dispatch software to easily send out instant messages. Although he was with some people like Stone Evans Williams, the co-founder of Twitter. They were in a company called Obvious, which later evolved into Twitter 2 weeks later. Okay, then Dorsey built a simple site where users could instantly send short messages of 140 characters or less, known in Twitter parlance as tweets. On March 21st, 2006, Jack Dorsey posted the world's first tweet, "Just setting up my tweet." Dorsey was named the company's chief executive officer, and the co-founder Williams Evans replaced Dorsey as Twitter's CEO in 2008, with Dorsey staying on as company's chairman. Also, aside from Twitter, Dorsey ventured into another social network called Foursquare. He launched this new venture called Squared, which allows people to receive credit cards payments through a tiny device plugged into their mobile phone or computer. And even after his success, he also had some obstacles too, when he had problems with Glass, whom he was working with, and then he was fired. When he was fired, he wasn't given any payoff. So he came back saying that the company belongs to him, but not before Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, offered him a job to work with him, but he didn't accept it. That was where the Facebook and Twitter rivalry started ever since. Another obstacles Twitter faced was when it was derailed by a late night comedy host saying that Twitter is a tool for the shallow-minded and self-centered people to broadcast the minutes of their lives to the universe. But not after, when celebrities and CEOs alike began to tweet, Twitter was no longer the brunt of so many jokes. Suddenly, the head of micro-blogging movement, called Steve Dorsey, and then the US presidential candidate Barack Obama and John McCain in 2008 used Twitter as a method of updating their supporters while on the campaign trail. Twitter, although has been so successful, Twitter vaulted to international prominence after the June 2009 presidential election in Iraq, when the government blocked text messaging, and satellite fields of foreign news coverage. Iranian Twitter's users flooded the site with live updates, and then the US State Department officials even emailed Dorsey to request that Twitter delayed its scheduled maintenance so that protesters could keep tweeting. In 2010, Twitter had more than 105 million users who together tweeted some 55 million times a day. What a success. Their advice to young beginners is that the young beginner shouldn't let circumstances get in the way of their dream. And they should also be proactive and solution focused towards opportunities, like being consistent to what they know how to do and how they do it better. I would want to put it shortly that success is enjoying what you know how to do and how you do it. Because Steve Jobs, although was a survivor of pancreatic cancer, yet he never let that to stand in the way of his dream. He went ahead producing lots of products for people to use. Here today I make use of iTunes Player. There is Apple phones, there is Apple iPads, lots more. What do you want? Technology has been brought to us by these people. And Dorsey on his own is still going into networking just to bring technology more closer to us, for us to experience the immediate and the betterness of our technology. Thank you.